utility fees. But then the stormwater use is a specific item too.
Right.
So I wouldn't want to necessarily take that away.
Well, it's a utility fee.
Stormwater use is a utility fee.
It's a utility fee.
Okay, if it's a utility fee, then
Okay, then we just have it be broad. Okay. And then, did you all want to add an objective for yourselves around community education and outreach? Anything that you want to commit to as a council or as council members?
well, we've talked a lot about roads tonight and the possibility of a tough and lid, things like that. So one of our goals is we have to communicate. We're gonna have to get out there and communicate to people in the effort to upgrade, maintain roads. Here's what we're working on, and here's what you can expect. And it might boil down to $1.25 more added to your utility bill. Here's why, here's what it looks like, here's when.
So, something to the effect of, city council members will communicate and educate residents regarding sustainable funding for transportation.
It could be communication by
infrastructure.
city council
Mhm.
on road funding plan or something like that. Or city council to communicate, however you want to word that.
Okay. All right, we'll add that one as your council objective. And then specifically, it's going to relate to that big piece that you're going to need to do.
Are there any other council objectives you'd want to add, councilors?
I mean, for me, you named both of them, right? So I mean, I think we talked a lot about just all the questions that come up and all the education that we need to do around the city services and utility bill, as well as the roads and the sustainable funding for the roads. So you named them both.
Okay. Under number 5, I wondered if we wanted to make that more generic, cooperate with Chamber of Commerce to provide community events. Was there a specific reason why it was just movies in the park?
Yeah, that's something that we do together as a partnership. I don't want to cooperate with them on community events.
Okay.
I don't want to, and I don't mean that the way it sounded. I mean it as, I don't want to cooperate, I don't want to be involved 50-50 with them on 4th of July. I don't want to be involved 50-50 with them on
Tree lighting
or things like that.
Yeah.
Those are their events, and I want them to, and they call us and they ask us questions, and they ask us, are you guys going to support this and stuff like that? And we're like, we don't have the staff, number one. Number two, it's a holiday. People are expecting to have the day off. It just, and except for those warm-hearted individuals who want to volunteer, they can volunteer all they want with the chamber. I don't want to be married to them for specific events, but we will assist them this year with movies in the park.
Okay.
We've already got that partnership going.
So you're meaning this year, but not necessarily all the time?
I don't know about next year. It depends. If movies in the park is successful this year and they want to do it again next year, we'll do it again next year. We'll keep doing it. We'll keep putting part of we're buying the equipment for it, so we may as well do it in conjunction with them. But if it turns into a riot, we're not going to do it.
I was just wondering if maybe it could be left out if it's not something that we anticipate seeing every year for the next 5 years.
It could be a performance indicator
Okay.
instead of a objective.
It's already down there.
Yeah.
The last one.
Is there anything in here as an objective?
We can take number 5 off.
Is there
Number
anything?
5 is
Off where?
Off take it off.
Oh, we're
As an
removing
Number
number
objective.
5, because it's already under the objective, or the performance indicator.
Oh, that's right, okay.
Is there anything in here, Michelle, that relates to the Cobalt building and our relationship with the tenants there?
No, there's nothing here that talks about that partnership.
Is that something that we'd want to include here? I mean, we have both the food pantry there and also there's another entity there as well, kind of an after-school program, is that right?
There's a summer program there, and there's an after-school program there.
During the school year. So do we want to have anything in there or anything that would relates to the community center here?
You know, I wonder,
Those are two facilities we have that are huge in terms of making ourselves available
those are
with.
partnerships.
Yeah, that's what I was.
You know, and we don't have anything about partnerships. Except under partnerships, we actively engage with our community and region in ways that benefit and improve all who live, work, the lives of all who live, work, and engage in the life of Questwell.
Well, you do have partnerships peppered throughout the different strategic priorities. So for example, under affordable housing, you've got the relationships with developers. Under economic development, you have the partnership with RAIN.
Yeah, but we have some real partnerships that
One of them
are
being
significant.
Crestwell First.
Yeah, that's right.
That's a
Questwell
partnership.
First, that's a
that
partnership.
They manage all those funds for our community.
Do you want to have another
I like that in there because.
strategic priority?
No.
Well,
you
this
aren't
is-
under strategic
This is,
Well-
community education and outreach. I mean, maybe we change.
We've got the food pantry, we've got the after-school program, we've got RAIN, we've got Questwell First, we've got,
The historical.
So the question would be, is there some objective that you need to have regarding all of those partnerships? Or does your guiding principle cover that by saying how you're going to approach and continue to conduct the city's business and operations?
Because this here has to do with strategic plans for 5 years.
right,
So,
well, we do have partnerships as one of the goals.
I think it makes sense under community education and outreach to have partnerships with local nonprofits. All of those are nonprofits.
Okay.
The food bank is nonprofit,
That could be the
Questwell
new
First is
number 5.
nonprofit,
yeah, so would it be?
the kids clubhouse is nonprofit.
Sorry.
Yeah.
to
It's okay.
interrupt. Would the objective be to continue, expand? What do you want to do? Maintain?
Healthy
Oh, that's a good idea.
Relationships with
relationships with.
Non-local, non-profit.
with community partners. That's a good phrase.
Maintain healthy relationships with community partners. There you go.
Do we need like an IE in there, so Crestwell Food Bank? Do
Well,
we need
again, once you
something?
start listing
In
some
4
in-
years, are we gonna forget who those community partners
I
are?
don't think so.
Okay.
We might have new ones and.
Right.
Yeah, new ones
Right, our
that could go
buildings.
way-
This is true.
Okay, so
I was gonna say, do you just wanna like maintain, or do you wanna grow those relationships at all?
No, I like them where they're at. I mean, to grow them, I don't know how we would grow some of them.
Again, that's their responsibility to grow their organization.
Right.
It's ours to have a relationship that, what we do with many of them is we simply allow them to use our space in a manner that's responsible for maintaining the space and covering expenses, but we're not trying to make money off of
No.
food for the food group or the after-school.
No, we're not.
But we
We're trying-
I
definitely,
think
that
we're-
fits into the community pride and the small town feel because we're supportive of.
But we're fostering those
I
relationships.
think realistically, that's all we can do is to maintain the relationship.
what if you said
and
maintain and
partnership.
foster?
And foster.
Maintain and foster.
Yeah.
Okay. Since we've done a few changes to this section for the record, I'm going to go back through and repeat all of them.
I would like a really bodacious, outlandish, beyond anything we've thought of goal. And that is to think about a new community center. We need to think about that. Our community center is going to be torn down, and it's not listed up there, but it could be under community education and outreach.
So how would you state it, Michelle, as an objective? Explore?
Explore,
Envision.
Envision.
You said bodacious, right?
There you go.
community center. That's right, you've got to have the vision
You
first.
gotta have a vision
Envision,
A new community center for Crestwell.
okay.
to greater support our community.
Yeah, and it could be sports, it could have sports, it could have basketball courts, or it could have pickleball courts, or it could have
Bowling alley.
bowling alley. Just no swimming pool.
It's getting late.
Let's not do the swimming pool.
So a quick aside, in the LCOG meeting, at the end of the LCOG meeting, all the members of LCOG, of which we're a member, get to give a little roundtable report. So when it came time for Crestwell, I said, there's a cornfield in Iowa of which it was said, if we build it, they will come, right? I said, well, we're not Iowa, we don't have a cornfield, but we have a sheep pasture over here at the Crestwell High School. So we adopted the motto, if we build it, they'll come. And if you haven't been over to the Crestwell High School, the sheep pasture, you need to go and you will see a hammer cage that is at least 3 stories tall, that is bodacious, outlandish, but because we built it at a cost of about $10,000, which I raised from Crestwellians, and it's there and it's amazing, they're coming. So it's the same idea that if we can envision
That's right.
something. We talk in here, one of our goals is that we want Crestwell to be a destination. Well, I tell you what, there's going to be a lot of people come down the next few weeks to see this thing that we built that just stands there, So I like the idea of envisioning, whatever we call it, a new community center to,
Yeah, you can have quinceañeras there, or you can have your wedding there, or you can play basketball maybe.
Well, I've had a community member say, we need a pickleball court in Crestwell.
Of course.
That's a growing activity, and we have no place to play pickleball.
That's what everybody's asking for in every community.
Pickleball court.
Pickleball courts.
We used to have someone who was really charging the city to put in a skate park, some of you remember. Skate park was huge on the agenda for a number of years. We've had people talk about we need a swimming pool. So, but whatever it is, envision, you had that experience in Toledo, but I like the
That's
idea. Michelle, you're right on.
So, can I,
Somebody envisioned the city hall once upon a time,
yeah.
Yes, they
and
did.
It happened.
and it was a small little nothing of an office before.
Well, and some of us envisioned keeping the Cobalt building when the majority of the council wanted to sell it.
And now it's one of our parks.
And now it houses some of the best things we're doing in Crestwell for our community. Yep.
Well, we made more changes to this one than any of the others, so I want to go back through and make sure I got everything right for the record. Is that okay?
Yes, because this is community.
Yes, okay. So the goal statement is going to read as follows. Provide Crestwell community members with access to informational resources and activities that creates awareness and understanding of city services and fees, increase volunteerism, community pride, and reinforces the city's small town feel. We have changed number 2 objective to say generate material to educate community about utility fees. We have swapped out 5 for a new objective that says maintain and foster healthy relationships with community partners. We have added an objective that is envision a new community center for Crestwell to increase support for the community. And then the last one that is the council objective, I kind of wordsmith this, so it would be in parallel construction with the others. Educate residents on plans for sustainable road funding through direct communication from city council members. Got it?
Read the number, the new number 5, is that what it was?
Yeah.
Or number 6? Go ahead.
Oh, the one about envision the community center?
Yeah.
So envision a new community center for Questwell to increase support in the community, or to increase support for community members.
How about to increase livability
Oh, I like that.
in Crestwell?
Livability in Crestwell. So it would now read, envision a new community center for Crestwell to increase livability. What if you just left the period there because
Livability.
you've already used Crestwell?
Is it improve livability instead of
To,
increase?
how about to enhance livability?
Enhance
That's much
livability.
That's what
better.
I have, that's what I heard was enhance.
Yes,
Okay,
sorry.
to
much
enhance
better.
livability.
So
Enhance is better.
envision a new community center for Questwell to enhance livability.
Yep. In my opinion.
All right,
Sounds good.
are we good?
Yep.
I like that, Michelle. Thank you so much for throwing that bodacious thought out
That
there.
is
She kept, I'm like, what is she gonna say?
I want it to be pretty special.
Is that okay, Roberta? Thank you. You're welcome.
I appreciate that.
Okay.
So should we do really quickly what the next steps are?
Sure.
So next steps are for me to put all of these revisions into a final document. Then with your letter, Mayor, that I do have.
Oh, I do have one other
Oh,
interruption
yes.
here. The order of these.
Oh, that's right.
We had
I
that
forgot.
conversation. You want to suggest a different
I
order?
just, I do, thank you. I think that economic development and safety should be first, but I also really want sustainable infrastructure to be first or second. That's just my input, council. I mean, it's whatever the majority thinks, but I just don't think affordable housing should be the first thing. I think we'll lose people as they're reading through it if they see that first.
Okay,
Because we really, that economic development, these other things are really more on top of mind for most citizens.
other input on how you would order it, what you'd put first or second. Misty, do you have a number 1 or 2 where you'd switch it around?
Let me get to that page. I
Okay.
It's on a different page.
How about Norma Jean? What would you put number 1 or 2?
I have to think about it a little bit more.
Okay, Shelley?
I would move robust and sustainable infrastructure to number 1. And that's not just because I'm on Lane Act and I really love infrastructure. But I just think about, like, as I'm reflecting upon the information that Cliff shared with us tonight, as I think about the roads committee, as I think about the work that we have really talked about a lot about tonight, I think it really falls under infrastructure. And there's a lot of funding and there's a lot of work that is to be done. And so that's why I would put that number 1.
And it's first in our
It is,
mission statement,
yep.
is city services.
I might move economic development up below the robust and sustainable infrastructure.
I think safety is number 2.
Number 2, Michelle?
Yeah, I think safety's number 2.
Yeah, I think it's
I
gotta
think
be up
economic
there.
development's 3.
Okay, yeah.
So you like infrastructure number 1, safety 2, economic development number 3.
Then what about what's 4? Is it housing or is it community education?
Let's go to Alonzo and see if he has a 1, 2, or 3.
Okay.
I like the order that I just heard Michelle speak on.
Infrastructure 1, safety 2, economic development 3. Kevin,
Good, good.
you like that 3? Tammy?
Yeah, I agree.
I agree.
Norma Jean?
It's really hard to say. I realize that affordable housing is important too, but it doesn't have to be number 1.
So how about number 1 is the infrastructure, 2 is safety, 3 is economic development. Are we good on those 3? Okay, so 4 and 5. What do you like there? Michelle?
Communication is so important.
It's huge.
That community education and outreach to me is,
4, and housing 5?
yeah, even the community education and outreach could come on number 3, because we really need to focus on that.
And, oh, in lieu of, just swap it with economic
Yeah,
development.
and then make economic development 4 and affordable housing 5. They kind of go together,
Okay,
maybe, I don't know.
If I'm looking at it, I'm an average community member looking at it, I want to know that you care about,
Education and outreach.
no, about affordable housing.
Oh,
But
I
that's
want-
not really
somehow-
the city's.
Yeah, I want to know that, you know.
I would not encourage you to think about these necessarily in order of priority. They're all important.
Right.
So I think it's more about kind of,
together.
yeah.
Goes to.
And I
Development.
I think that it's, you really don't want to get wrapped up too terribly much in the order, because if you don't number them, people are not going to see them as this is priority number 1, this is priority number 2. And at any given time in a 5-year period, one of these may come to the fore over the others. So I wrote down what you suggested for the order, and what I would suggest is that in between now and when this comes to adoption, if you have other thoughts on it, just let me know.
What order did you write down?
I wrote down that robust and sustainable infrastructure is number 1, safety is number 2, community education and outreach is 3, economic development is 4, and affordable housing is 5, in their order, not in sense of priority.
I think, I agree with that. I don't need to think about it anymore. That's just my opinion, because that is exactly how it is in our mission statement. And I think that some people reading it, Michelle made a very good point. The community education and outreach needs to be up there with it, because that really is, the city staff is really
We got it.
serving the community.
Yeah. We got to make sure that people understand what the community is, what the city is doing.
Yeah.
And if we don't have good communication with the community, they won't understand that. And, we can do all the economic development and affordable housing we want, but if we don't have good communication.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you have a strong objection, speak up now to what Michelle Kennedy has just said. No strong objections. Okay, then are we good to say it's good in Michelle's hands? She's going to create another document, and is the plan that it will come back to the council in 2 weeks for adoption? Is that correct?
On the 11th.
On the 11th,
Council, are you good with that?
Are
Or
you coming back?
I can be here virtually or in person, but virtually probably makes sense since it's just adoption. I don't know that you need me in person.
So council, you have 2 options. It comes back in 2 weeks to vote on, or you want a little more time to look it over, and it comes back next month at the work session for one last look, and then it would come in August at the council meeting for adoption. What's your preference? You want one last look at it before you vote on it, or do you feel comfortable that you'll get it on a Friday and you can look it over and vote on it on Monday? And even at that Monday meeting, when you have it in front of you, you can then discuss it and say, I'd rather have this one moved to a different place, or I don't like this word in there, or oops, I caught something, a mistake. So you can still have that discussion and make some adjustments to it,
Yep.
and then say, I want to vote on this as amended. So that's a possibility too. What do you want to do? Alonzo?
We're not, we're not under a time crunch, are we?
Well, we kind of were because we wanted to get this done in this fiscal year, but since we're already going to July 11th, it's going to be okay.
I'm good either way.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask the question of what is the, kind of like, what's the harm of pausing for a month? And the only reason that I ask is I'm just, and I don't know, I can go either way. I'm just wondering, I've had a lot of words kind of swimming in my head tonight, and so it might be good for me to just have one last look to feel good about, like, yep, this is what we're moving forward with.
I'd like to have one last look before we voted on it too.
Okay.
I would say move forward.
I say move forward. I think getting the packet from Roberta prior to the July 11 will be enough.
So help me understand, what we've looked at here will become part of, is it going to be anything more like a larger document, or is it?
So we will be adding, so that was my next steps conversation. So what's going to happen to this now is every change that you discussed is a part of the record. I also wrote it all down. We are going to add your mission statement that you didn't change to this. The mayor has written a forward introductory letter to the strategic plan that we're going to incorporate. And then I've already drafted up the language for an acknowledgements page, and we'll just simply need to figure out who we want to list on that page. And that would encompass the plan, along with the content that you just.
Graphics.
And there's going to be, once I get all of that put together, we are having a graphic artist put it together in a publishable format. So it's not just a Word document. It's something that you can put on your website as a PDF file. It will have your logo, it will have the look and feel of Questwell woven into it.
And that was something that I really enjoyed looking at when we were looking and doing the RFPs. We saw those samples and
Yes.
stuff like that. So I guess that how much input will we have into those graphics and things like that?
Typically,
Yeah.
I'll just say typically, and this may not be typical for you, but typically city councils delegate those decision-making processes to the project team. So we've got a really good graphic designer that we work with. I shepherd that process working with the project team, and I have yet to have a city council reject the design of a plan. So,
Okay.
but if you want that input, then we definitely should delay. Okay, it's your right to have that input. We should definitely delay it out a month, because you will not only be reacting to any changes that we made tonight, you would be looking at it from a design perspective, and you would definitely need to be giving us input prior to adopting it if that's what you wanted.
I don't want to nitpick every detail of it and every single thing, but if there's a graphic where either I'm like, wow, that's just a horrible graphic, or we could probably do something better here because, or, just something comes to mind that says this would work better here. I don't know. We speak a lot in words, and what we've been doing here today has been wordsmithing and
Yep.
things like that,
Yep.
but pictures do speak volumes. And I think that I would like to have some look at that before we move to adoption. That's my opinion.
Yep.
So I'm going to recommend, and this is partly because this is the first strategic plan this council's ever done, right? Were you involved in the last one?
Yes.
Okay, so the two of us were, but, so it is a big deal.
Yeah.
And it's something you take a lot of pride in. And
Yeah.
I'd like to say every Crestwellian will read it, but they won't. But I would say that we who are on the council and those of you who continue in the coming years will look back at it. To where I think, and plus I won't be here at the July council meeting to engage with you and vote on it. My son's getting married in a week, something like that, a week on a Thursday, and then our whole family has a big get-together at the beach, and Kevin's running the July meeting, so I won't be here. But I would recommend that we have the document come back to us at the July work session with the hope that we can make whatever change we want, have it back to Michelle for a final, and then come August, we've had all the time to look at it, and we feel good at it. I think you make some wonderful points. Words speak volumes about our community, right? We want to see and say, hey, that's great.
So
That's my recommendation.
what I'd like to be able to do, although I don't know with the timing of when Roberta has to get this material to you, if it's possible, because your meeting is in 2 weeks. And
But our work session's not for another month,
Yeah.
so we have a month.
You'll have an extra month.
that'll be long enough for us to get it into the design form, because I would love to bring that to you, be able to bring that to you in your work session, the work of the graphic designer, so that you could then comment on it, and we could take back suggested changes to the designer, and then those would be ready for when it comes to you for adoption.
That would be July 25 is our next work session.
Yep, that's doable.
And
It
then we put
wouldn't
on-
be doable if it was July 11th, but,
And then it'd be on the August 8 agenda.
yeah,
Sounds
Okay,
good.
I like that.
Okay.
that'll work.
That's good.
That gives our graphic designer adequate time to really give it some thought. And she's really, really creative and really good at what she does. And she definitely takes feedback, so don't feel at all nervous
I
about it.
wouldn't, like I said, I wouldn't want to nitpick all the details of something like that, because I think that could go into a lengthy, discussion and stuff like that. So that would not be in my intent. I think it would just be more like anything that would be glaringly obvious, that it's like, oh, we shouldn't do that, don't do that, or we'd like to do this, but.
One thing we have done in the past is a lot of times she'll do like 3 different versions of the cover, right? So the cover will kind of set the tone for the design inside the plan. And she usually likes to get, here's 3 examples of what the cover could look like. Tell me which one you like best, or tell me which elements you like. Is that something that we could share with the council members, and they could email their feedback when she creates those initial takes on the cover?
If they want to do it on July 11th,
She won't have it ready by then. Or
otherwise it's an illegal meeting.
Okay, got it. I wasn't sure about the meeting requirements, and that's why I asked the question. Okay. Well, we'll have it ready for your work session, and that's where we can take in your feedback, and there will still be time to make any needed changes to the design before it comes back to you for adoption in August. Okay,
Sound good?
we good?
We're good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
All right.
It's a pleasure that you're so dedicated to this, that you care this much about it.
Well, it's been a very good process. You've done a really good job, I think,
Oh, thank
leading
you.
us through this.
We truly love doing this work. We really
Good.
do.
It shows. So we're going to move to the last item as quickly as we can. Is that all right with you all? So every 2 years, the LOC basically advocates for items that their cities consider to be important. And we get to make a vote electronically on our top 5 priorities. Now, those 5 priorities we pick may never see the light of day, because the LOC will meet at their October meeting,
Right.
conference, and then they'll set their platform for the coming year. So these 5 may never get past us, but we get to vote.
Yes.
And it's late, so I'd like to go quickly. So I'm trusting you've all read through this, and you know what's important to you. So I'm just going to ask you to tell me your top 3. We get 5, but we're going to just start with the top 3, okay?
Okay.
Top 3. So we're going to try to go quick. You're going to get an opportunity to advocate. If one of your top 5 is not on this list, you're going to get the opportunity to say, hey, this is important. And I want to include Michelle in it, because I asked Michelle the question from a city point of view, as our city manager. What does she think is important?
Oh,
Okay? So, who wants to start?
you said top 3?
Top 3.
Okay.
Just 1, 2, 3. Bang, bang, bang.
I'm ready.
Different pen. Different pen. Could you give me that? Oh, I have the blue one here. Let's see if the blue one works better. Okay. Who wants to go first? Misty?
Well, hold on, I got 2 out of my,
I'm ready.
Okay. Tammy?
Community Development Policy Committee.
Community Development Policy Committee.
So I think,
And which number is this?
That's number 1.
One what? One each?
You have to do like one
One
A, B,
E.
C, D.
You have to pick one of them underneath.
Yeah.
One, oh yeah, you have to pick one.
and you could pick multiple from that list, but you just get 3
D.
totally.
1D, which is
Economic development incentives.
Economic Development Incentives. Okay, next one, Tammy.
Water and
So
wastewater.
tell us the number and the
Number
letter.
7.
7 what? Each of the 7 policy
7C.
committees. Okay, 7C. And then put down 7C, which is infrastructure financing.
Yep.
That's a good one.
Uh-huh.
Okay, tell us your number 3, Tammy.
I don't really have a number 3.
Okay,
I
so you
mean,
can hold that
property
thought.
tax reform, I guess, if I had to choose, it would be 4A,
4A.
if I had to choose, but I
Okay,
feel very strongly about the first 2 I chose, so.
so Kevin, are you ready?
Misty, you're ready. You're
I
actually-
am.
Yeah,
Misty.
go ahead and go. I had 6 of them, so.
I'm also, I have 2 that I'm certain about. One's 6A. The second's 7C. And then I'm a split between,
7C, so that makes 2 votes on
Yep.
7C.
and then I'm split between 3C and 5D.
3C, 5D.
Yeah, it would be a split on those 2.
Okay, Michelle,
4A,
4A, that's 2 for 4A.
1D,
1D, that's 2 for 1D.
and 7C.
7C, that's 3. Okay. Norma Jean,
I think 7 is important, but I might go with A
7A,
for the utility rate refund assistance,
okay,
which will be important to our community.
yep.
1C,
1C,
infrastructure funding to support needed housing.
okay.
Looking there about public safety, so that would be one of my next.
All right, we'll come back to you, Norma.
Okay, I'll look and see.
Shelley,
Third one.
Okay, so I'm sorry, I had to step away for a second to use the restroom. I'm guessing what we're doing is we're just kind of listing our
you're giving top 3.
top 3. Okay, I've got top 2 right now, for
Okay.
sure. So 7C, Clark Loves
7.
Infrastructure.
C, okay, all right.
And then 5B.
5B. 5B, which is resilient, okay,
Broadband.
broadband, okay? Alonzo,
4A, 7A, and 7C.
Kevin,
All right, so 1B, which is local funding to address homelessness. And 4A, property tax reform. And then 7C, the infrastructure.
okay, so let me rattle mine off quick. I'm gonna go with 1D, 4A, and 7A. Okay, has everybody given 3?
I have one more. I have 1B.
1B?
I have one more, and I would also go with 1B.
1B? Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that have got multiple votes. And they are 1D, all right? Economic development incentives. 7C, infrastructure financing. 4A, property tax reform. 7A, water utility rate and fund assistance. And 1B, local funding to address homelessness. So now's your opportunity. If we are missing something that you think is really, really important and you want to convince us, now's your opportunity to speak.
Nobody chose the road user fee vehicle miles traveled structure?
I actually did, but it wasn't one of my top 3.
Okay.
But Michelle, tell us why that's really important. It should be on the list.
Because that's going to be something that's going to be decided, that's going to have a direct impact on our streets. The street vehicle, this road user fee will be something that the state has to work on. It just has to, because it has to look at electric vehicles, it has to look at hybrid vehicles, it has to look at charging stations, how you're going to, I mean, gasoline tax is a thing of the past, and
Which number is that one?
that one's 6B.
Okay.
But that's okay, I think that one's gonna be looked at anyway.
Yeah, it's important too.
I don't think
They're
it,
probably gonna pick it anyway.
yeah, it's gonna have to be resolved anyway.
Okay, anybody else? Okay, so are we good with these?
So let me make sure I have them so that I can get them right for the city council meeting.
Okay, go ahead.
Because I have to write the thing. 1B, local funding to address homelessness. 1D, economic development incentives. 4A, property tax reform. 7A, water utility rate and fund assistance. And 7C, infrastructure financing and resilience.
Yep, that's what I got.
Okay.
So you will put that together for the council meeting and then give that as a directive, and then as a council, we will decide on one of us who's going to be voting electronically, going online to.
Or I can do it.
Or Michelle can do that.
I can do it as soon as
won't
the
mess it
vote,
up.
yeah, as soon as the vote is taken, I can sit
We'll
down.
vote
and I
in
can-
July 11th council meeting.
Yeah, well,
All right.
but you won't vote.
Well, I will not be here personally for that meeting, but 6 of you will be here. I trust you all.
We got you. We got you, Mayor.
You are a good council. Okay, are we good? Are we ready to adjourn? Is that everything? Whoa, you did it. Okay, here we go. Ready? We are now adjourned.